Thank you so much for coming back to Sarita Talks. We have some awesome guests, and I am so glad and so grateful and so thankful to welcome back Samuel Harris, aka Sam, public speaker, formerly incarcerated gentleman, awesome person doing all the right things. So definitely want to profile him and what he's got going on. But we were talking beforehand about what we would talk about. And a lot of people who are close to me know that I've been writing a book about post incarceration syndrome. And post incarceration syndrome is a term that they've given to people who experience a different form of PTSD when leaving the correctional environment. So I just want to speak a little bit about post-incarceration syndrome. And Sam, we had talked a little bit about it. Tell me about, you just recently talked to a gentleman that served over 30 years, correct?
Yes. It's real. First and foremost, it's something we don't want to accept. However, let's back up a little bit. I'm actually diagnosed with PTSD from the military.
Okay.
So I got what took me 26 years to be diagnosed. So after knowing what I went through with that, now coming out of incarceration, I see the same feeling. They're overlapping a little bit and being double overwhelmed sometimes. But
Okay.
it is a feeling. I mean, it's mentally challenging. It is, and it's hard to gauge it when you're inside to realize that we use words like institutionalized and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're taking us out of here and putting us in this box and imagine 25, 30 years that went by. I was on a panel once and I told the people, go in your bathroom for about 3 hours and then come out.
Yeah.
Imagine doing it for 25 years. And one of the responses I got back was they never seen it like that to come out. So not including the norms that you have to get adapted to. Like, for instance, we have to get adapted to there are no keys in the cars anymore. Self-checkouts.
Yeah. QR code. That was it for me. The QR code. And I felt like I'm not stupid. I was at a job fair, and I tell the story a lot because I was so excited about getting a job. And when I walked in, it was Missouri Department of Highway Patrol, the local police department, and Missouri Department of Corrections were three of the biggest employers at this job fair. So I was automatically excluded, feeling a little beat down. Went to one of the kiosks about getting a job at the city, and they were like, yeah, apply online. That's how we do everything. They didn't say that's how they do everything, but you're welcome to apply online. So I felt like that was a dismissal, because when I went to prison way back in 2008, we filled out a paper application. Sometimes you got a job on the spot. So that's what I was expecting. I went around the corner. Another gentleman said, you'd be perfect. Scan this QR code and you can apply for the job. Well, I held my phone because I knew that's what I was supposed to do, but I didn't know how it worked at all. So when we get out and these new systems and processes come into play, it is a different world. It's a different world that we're coming home to. And it can be discouraging. It can beat you down, but it can also be terrifying.
Exactly. Even to things like, I remember being home and going into Walmart later that day, the first day out, and seeing the scanners there. You have to scan your items, and just to have to learn that. And if I miss an item, am I shoplifting? Yeah. Which could violate me, and then
I worried about that too.
Exactly. And I wouldn't buy vegetables and fruits for a while because I didn't know how to do it.
How to wait. You know what?
Yes. So
me too.
My fiance's daughter, we went in there one day and she finally showed me. It's like, Mr. Sam, you can do it like this. And it was so simple. But one of the things that I grabbed a hold to when I came home was, I was told by a gentleman that had been home a while. I was frustrated. I called him and he said, you mastered the prison. You 60 years, you were pardoned, you did everything right. You have mastered that world. You were a model inmate, the action. He said, leave that in there and learn this new life or the society that you're coming back in.
That's easier said than done.
Yes. But what I did, one of the words he said he helped me with was, don't be afraid to ask for help. And that's where I'm at now. I was on a Zoom. I was on something the other day. and I had to slow down. We actually went to the General Assembly about something, and I was kind of lost about something. And I said, "Oh, slow down. Explain it to me again." And I think, and as a man, sometimes you don't like to do that wrong. A lot of other men, but I had to learn the hard way. And I was telling the gentleman that I was speaking to that just got out in July, I said, "You have to remember that people don't know you've been gone this long."
Right.
I don't want to wear it across my chest. They don't know it. They're going to expect you like you've been out here. It's okay to say, "I don't know. Can you slow down? Can you repeat that?" It's things like that that has really helped me to get acclimated to the point of somebody asked me to do some. We were doing something and they did the QR code thing. And I'm like, all right, I get the concept of that a little bit.
Yeah.
And the person just walked me through it. You have to have the little bars around it and click.
Right. Yeah.
But it's a humbling experience. It is. But however, when you're faced with, this post-incarceration syndrome, we're faced with that. I don't know how to describe it, but it makes it more terrorizing, I guess.
Yeah, well, I feel like it made me put a lot of unrealistic expectations on myself as well. And I played what I like to call as the catch-up game, where I wanted to get so much done in this little bit of time because I had missed so many years, and I felt like if I didn't go out and do it right now, then I'm not going to be able to retire. Then I'm not going to be able to be a productive citizen. Then they're going to give up on me. Then somehow, I'm going to fall back into whatever, it's all these what ifs and borrowing trouble. I had a friend in prison that used to say, "Sarita, don't borrow trouble." But a lot of times I feel like I borrowed so much opportunity that I was trying to, every opportunity that I had, I wanted to try and seize the day, carpe diem. And it was really just running me into the ground. Tell me about your friend or the gentleman you were talking to who just got out in July. Tell me about that.
We were in the General Assembly because I went last Thursday. We're sitting there and we're waiting for a session to begin, and we just sat there, just chopping it up a little bit. But I could see the look on his face a little bit, some agitation. And then I said, "Hey man, relax. I was in the same spot last year for the first time there," because I said what I did after about 3 hours. I was like, "That's it. I'm going home," and I left. I said, "So don't try to absorb," because we were there on lobby day. You got, imagine the House, the Senate, everybody's there. You got all these organizations. I mean, they're just moving. But the thing, and him and I got to talking about even how people are treat us, even some of the organizations that we were blown away. And I don't want to get into the weeds on this a lot, of the messiness of the criminal justice advocacy lane. We both agree to how messy it was and how disturbing it is, especially for a returning citizen who you guys supposed to be fighting for. But so now imagine us. And I told him, I said, it's like walking in the house and seeing your parents or somebody argue when you're trying to be welcomed back. Who do you talk to? Who do you listen to? And it was a crazy, and he was like, "This is," and I could see that was bothering him.
Oh, I can definitely relate to when you are depending on someone to support you, or, as you said, ask for that direction, ask for that hand to, help me out. I don't need a hand out. I need a hand up. I need you to, tell me some of the things I don't know. And I will tell you this, someone who should have been guiding my reentry became my biggest stumbling block.
Yes. And to me, I still feel that now, because I had a situation where someone was against someone and they totally stopped speaking to me, and I depended on this person, and I felt bad because I was like, okay, am I wrong for depending on them first? And I'm like, and then all of a sudden, I think Saturday I was out, and I got a text from someone, and we spoke Friday when I came back, the person said, "Man, I saw you on some of your pictures, and you didn't look." People can watch your content.
Yeah, they can tell.
You didn't look like you. And I said, and I was like, I feel like I'm losing it. But anyway, and she started to speak to me about what they're finding out now, where a lot of these places are getting all the grants money and stuff, but they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And and it's like I could put the puzzle together. This is why I'm missing or not feeling it, because they're not filling the lanes.
Right.
And like you said, and in the process, they're becoming an adversary in a sense because him and I got talking about. I'm 55 years old when I come home, and I got a younger guy behind me. No problem. He's in his 40s. He's running these organizations or whatever. He's been home. He's trying to tell me who to talk to. I'm like, hey, bro, I'm a grown man.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you find there's a lot of
there's a lot of power and control there. Yes, there is. And a lot of people, and here's another thing too, they want us to embrace this savior complex. And I even had to check a couple of people who were in my Christian group because they're like, oh, well, this person brought you here. This person, if you find a diamond walking down the street, it was a diamond before you got there, and it'll be a diamond long after you left. We owe no one anything except for ourselves. Yes. Whatever I owed, I paid my debt to society. So therefore, if you're in a position of leadership or if you're in a position of reentry, don't take that as you control someone's life or that you've done so much for them, because that further builds that tension, that anger, that animosity, and that distrust. So we just came from a place where we can't trust anyone. Now we're out here, and the person that we've chosen to trust is now moved into, like I said, one of the biggest stumbling blocks I ever had.
I'm going to tell you one of the things I helped him with. I said, listen to it when I say this. I heard someone say, if I live by your compliment, I'll die by your criticism.
Ooh.
And
say it one more time. If I live by your compliment, I will
die by your criticism, because I'm living by you. I always got to be complimented by you. So as you criticize something, or it's going to kill me. What I related it to when I came home was, I said, man, be very careful. Don't let social media become your status evaluation. I guess I use some other words for that. I said, because if you're living by the likes or the smiles and the hearts, when they stop doing that, because people are telling on themselves, because I think sometimes social media is the biggest cop out in the world. Because it's like you could be childish with it. I heart you when I like you. I ignore you when I don't. So obviously you got a problem against what I just posted or who I took a picture with. I had somebody one time send a place. I didn't know what it was, because I'm just coming home. I'm with the governor. I'm taking pictures with the governor. The person sends this funny looking face. I had to copy it and ask chat what that face mean.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was like they didn't agree with whatever that was. I was like, seriously? But I didn't live by your compliments, so I didn't die by the criticism. Does it sting a little bit? It did, because it came from someone that I respected. And then I told him, I said, I kind of figured when I posted something, I don't go by. I said only one person, that, because when you're out here in this influence in the world and advocacy, you want to speak to the media, the public, about what you're going through.
Yeah. You want to get your message out.
Yes, I said, but you can't live by it. I said, and what I did, I did a lot of praying and research on it. A lot of stuff I don't comment to, and I don't put it out there to get the responses. I'm going to get this message out, and somebody's, and I have a message that I always tell people, especially when I put my VA information out there or something that can help someone, I receive the negative and the positive. I do, but I'm like, if I can help one person to see something different. Like I see a lot of times people text me, email me or whatever and go, they didn't believe in the pardon process, but now you're looking at someone who did get pardoned.
Yeah.
So that's hope to someone. You understand?
For model behavior, a former vet.
Exactly. So him and I went through that. We felt better because we are a part of a strange fraternity of all of us. But like I told him, I said, even in the fraternity world, you got this fraternity at this college, this fraternity, you got different ones, but they're all fraternities. I said, just know your lane, stay in it, and be comfortable with yourself.
Yeah. So I hear you're doing a lot of advocacy work, and you're also doing some speaking. You have an event coming up. Tell us about it. Yes, now, let me tell you, he's in Virginia, so you got to tell us where it's at.
Yes, this coming Thursday, I'll be at the University of Virginia. Huge offer. I think, to me, I'm so excited. I had to pretend like I wasn't excited. You know how when you first get the invitation.
But, you don't want to seem too thirsty.
Yes. It was a chance to talk to some law students about justice-involved veterans benefits and things like that. it meant a lot to me because not only being a justice involved veteran, the things that I learned while I was incarcerated, and some things that I'm working with now with the Department of Veteran Services, but it meant a lot because I read a book when I was in Hope by Andre Norman, and loved some of the things that he did in the process of getting out of prison. I kind of modeled, I put it on my bucket list. It's like, and to now not only to speak in the Department of Correction like every other month now, but to actually start going into colleges and universities and places.
Yeah. Where the new stakeholders are coming out from, the new advocates.
Yes. And it was, so I was invited there by the Justice League of Virginia through a professor. And I'm thinking I'm going to go speak. And he's like, no, you're going to actually lecture a class for about 3 hours. I'm like, whoa.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
I'm really excited about it. I'm really, and to go to UVA, and a little backstory on that. I sold cars prior to going to prison. I was pretty good at it. One of the owners that I worked for saw something in me in the early 90s. He always said, you're going to own a dealership. But I was too immature. This guy was one of the nicest, guys I ever met. Of course, he's let him rest in peace now. But anyway, he has a business school at UVA named after him. And
nice.
Where I'll be speaking at is right next door. So I want to go read his business school. So it's like a full circle moment thing.
It is. Everything is cyclical. Wow. Yeah. So he made such an impact on your life, and now you're going back to honor his memory.
Yes. So yeah, I'm excited, and hopefully this is going to open more doors to more speaking engagement, because we have to speak. Like I posted something yesterday in the process of going to the General Assembly last night, and I don't know where this came from. I was up studying yesterday morning, and I think I mentioned that we're like a cornucopia of returning citizens. The cornucopia has so many vegetables and things inside, and I think that's how we all are. We all have our lane. You can touch women in this. Another woman can come and how you touch the same women in this. We can't be competing. We just got to realize that they have that message. And I always believe that message is intended for someone. So now, and I sat back. I remember last November, I was getting frustrated because I've been home. I feel like because I came on so fast, and I feel like I was running out of gas, but I knew what my calling was in a sense. And as I started going back into the prisons, I got more satisfaction and joy going back than actually speaking out here. And matter of fact, we just went back, we were in there on the 12th. We ended up, I don't know if you've seen it, I'll send you something, but we end up, you remember back in the days they had a video, self-destruction. It was a video by a lot of rappers back in the 80s, something. The cooking group that I went back inside with in July, they remade this video in the cities, and we went back inside Lawrenceville, and we picked up 90 residents there and 2 rappers, and they did the rapping part of that video.
Wow.
I had a buddy tell me, he was like, man, I can't believe you bought a cooking show in here, and now you got us in music videos.
That's right.
I love it because it gave them hope that you can do this too. And the response that we're getting, from that. As a matter of fact, I'm sorry to move around.
No, that's okay.
I should have pulled this early. Yeah. And so this was one of the shirts that they actually wore in the video. Stop the violence.
Self-destruction. Stop the violence. I love it.
And it was great just to be a part of it, and even to set the precedence of something like that happening. Because now you're telling these 700 guys on this compound, anything can happen if you put your all in it and just have hope, So yeah, that was it was great. It was.
Awesome. Well, let me ask you about this. Tell us a little bit about your pardon.
About my pardon. Okay. In 2017, I met a young man before that. We were coming off lock, and the young man's running around the yard. Bruh Sam. And I'm like, well, he said, I want to show you something. And look at the piece of paper. It's a pardon. I'm like, huh? I read it. Yeah, he said, man, I put in the pardon. I'm going home. Matter of fact, I just talked to this young man Friday, last couple weeks ago. So I'm like, I started researching. I was like, huh. So I said, you know what? I think I can do this. So got with my family. We all got together. We hired an attorney for like $2,500 to submit it, but I did most of it. So we sent it to the attorney in 2018. It was filed in 2018. And he went through the whole process of it. And I was interviewed in early 23.
Wow. See how long it takes,
Yeah.
audience? Do you see how long it takes? And people apply for commutations, clemencies, pardons. That's how long it takes. And I've been in prison with women who serve life sentences, and it's on the governor's desk. It's on the governor's desk. How long do they have to sit on the governor's desk before people go home?
And we're trying to do something about that now, because let me back up a little though.
Sure.
It was filed in 18. It was denied in 21. I get a letter one Sunday, it's been denied. We get together, we pray, and we went. So the next administration came in, we did some advocating for me, and I'm finding out now I had a lot of people behind me, because and I think I told you in your last show, I wrote 1,804 letters. I actually labeled my letters at the end. And
wow.
Letters, I'm finding it's one of the best feelings I have now is when I meet somebody that got one of my letters or have my book.
Oh, nice. Now tell us about the book and where can we get it?
Yeah, the book is Speaking Out for Second. There's Remorsefulness, Speaking Out for Second Change. It's on Amazon.
Okay.
I know you can't always say it. It's actually it's 11 of us total that wrote the book.
Okay.
Our story.
It says remorsefulness.
Remorsefulness, Speaking Out for Second Chances.
Speaking Out for Second. And where can we find the book?
Speaking Out for Change. I'm like clogging.
No, that's okay. Remorsefulness, Speaking Out for Change. And you co-authored it with 10 other people?
Yes. It's based on our story, and all the proceeds of this were donated to the local Boys and Girls Club.
Oh, I love that.
I was talking to a senator the other day, a Republican, talking to his chief of staff, and the guy basically recited my chapter back to me. I'm
what?
Like, yes. Yeah, and it's and I said that to say they do listen. They don't think your letters are going unread or your stories, are going unread or unanswered. It's timing. But again, I didn't like the pardon process because it took so long. But I was just telling my dad yesterday that time. I remember I signed my pardon on September the 23rd, and I was supposed to come home September 25, but I ended up coming home July 24.
Oh Lord! So another 9 months.
Yes, it still was a lot of time, but it was. I listed as now as pruning time.
Okay.
Things were getting me prepared, and as I came out here and saw the world that I was facing, and I was like, yeah, maybe I did need a little more time, but we're in the process now of speaking to people about that issue of why does it take so long, and because certain states have I think a few states have pardoning boards amongst their Department of Corrections.
Yeah, so we do not here in Missouri.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Virginia, I would love to have one. So tell us about your message when you go into the facility. What is the message that you're spreading besides experience, joy, and hope?
One of my key messages, and I have it's weird when we were doing the video the other day, a guy asked me, because we had some celebrities with us from a TV show with us, and they were signing some of these guys' shirt, and the guy was like, "Bro, Sam, we want your autograph." I was like,
oh, yeah.
And when I went to sign it, I have a slogan that I always tell, or just a little catchphrase: "Be ready." I don't like, and that phrase came from when I worked in the law library. The guys would always, you probably seen this too. Guys would always come in that month or that quarter of their parole hearing. Hey, I'm getting ready to go up for parole. I couldn't stand here. I'm like, you've been in here 25 years. You get ready 3 months out of a year.
Right.
And I was like, no, if you be ready when they call you, it's time, you have to be ready.
Yeah.
And stay ready for real. And I hate that I was getting ready. So I always say, man, be ready. As I go in there, tell them now, hey, look, be ready. And I'll ask the hard questions like, do you have your home plan together?
Mm-hmm.
And if a guy tell me about his legal case, such and such, I say, hey, do you have your transcripts?
Right.
Don't talk me to death. Show me. And I go in and it's like I tell them all the time. And I actually have my actual update sheet, my original update sheet that says 2054, and I have the turn downs of my first pardon. I take that in there with me because I'm not taking excuses from this. And I tell the guys, if this can happen for me, this can happen for anyone. One guy was like, man, you only had robberies. I said, well, I've seen guys with murder cases or whatever make parole. But when I tell them, you get yourself together, because that's the only thing I can change and control is me.
That's right. That's like we say in prison, they may have our bodies, but they don't have our minds.
You don't have this. And I tell them a lot. I said, because when I wrote those 1,800 letters, one of the things nobody in those letters ever had to explain to someone was, why did I do this wrong inside of prison? My cousin, who was really instrumental, Martha Davis, she was instrumental in this last phase of getting me out. Her and I had a little talk one day, and she loved it. She said, cousin, you made advocating easy. I said, wow. She said, because if I'm in the room with the governor, and she actually met the governor at the end, I don't have to explain to him, okay, Mr. Governor, you're going to see this when you look into him, but he's like this now. That whole conversation is gone. And she's like, I can just talk to him about all the good you did.
That's right, because that's all they had.
Yes. You got 5 minutes. She was like, I got 5 minutes to talk to this governor. I can't explain 3 minutes of it because you did something, you know. And I thank God for my family, my mom and dad, my sisters and all, and my motivation and them motivating me to be ready and to keep. My dad always said, don't get locked up while you're locked up. We know things happen, but don't go the hole. Yeah. So, and then at the end, to have high profile people tell me, you're the face of this, or you deserve this. And I even had someone say from a previous administration before, they said, God, we glad you didn't get, because a lot of guys had got pardoned. And she said, it bugged me when I found out about you, because we thought one had got past us. Because, you know,
wow,
all the people. And I told her, I said, no, and I appreciate that. But I know God had his timing for when he let me out. But that was a compliment coming from them. And even after my second interview, I remember leaving my second, that's basically a telltale sign after you get that second interview that you're going to leave. They come and the chairman came and the vice chair came and talked to me. And one of the things that I said, and I went back to work, the guy said, how do you feel? I said, man, I feel good. And he said, man, you know you got it. I said, no, I know I gave it my all. You remember, like Michael Jordan said, he left it all on the court. I'm like, I gave this pardon thing, and I'm giving prison. And I felt like, and I wasn't saying this arrogantly, because if anybody can go home, I can. I've seen people go home around me. I'm not judging. I'm not saying I'm better than anybody, but I tell people all the time,
if they can have it, I can have it too.
Yes. And I trusted God through the whole process of it. Even when the day I signed my pardon, September the 23rd, September 17th in 2023, and they were like, look, you're going to be getting out in September 25. I got a little frustrated because usually pardons are out within a couple of days, a couple of months.
Yeah.
I remember I went back to the phone. I called my mother. She's like, you okay? I said, yeah, Mom, but I'm not coming home to 25. And she said, baby, I'm still happy because look how God turned your 52 into 25.
That's right.
And my dad was redoing the garage, and he said he just kept fixing the garage. And as I speak to him, he said, man, we never gave up hope. And I'm glad you stayed focused at any day. And look at what happened. 9 months later, I'm going home.
Amen.
You know? So, yeah, I just tell guys all the time, man, just be ready, and don't take everybody's word. Just be ready. It's that simple, you know.
I just want to give a shout out to Keenan Hudson. He gave us a few little comments about a powerful message and peace and blessings. Thank you so much, Keenan, for tuning in. Sam, wow. What a powerful testimony about the pardon process and to never give up. How many letters did you write again?
My last letter was 1,804. That's what I wrote up in the corner. I got that from a book I read.
Okay.
A book I read in the library when I was working there. A young lady had started doing the same thing, and the lawyer who picked up her case to get her out, she told her that if you are this consistent, she asked her what would that number in the corner represent, and she said it's the amount of letters I've written. And she goes, if you're that consistent with this story, you got to be innocent.
That's right.
And she got the girl out, and the person who wrote the book is now a professor at Georgetown, Abby. I think it's Abby Smith. But that concept stuck with me. I said, I'm going to label these letters. And one of the beautiful parts was when I got home, I was being interviewed by a news station that I had wrote over and over again. And she happened to have the letters in her hand. She kept them all. And I said, can I see your letters? And she started showing them to me. And her letters had gaps in between. I said, see how long you ignored me? We started laughing. Oh. I said, yeah, I was keeping track of who answered my. But it's funny now that I have so many people that when I meet them, they tell me about my letter. And I said, did you ever check your right-hand corner? It was a number in it. And I actually kept a log of it a little bit. Of who
nice.
Yeah. So but I do that to tell people consistency is the power to change.
Right.
Consistency with things. You know what I mean? So And it was, I think I got used to doing it. I was like, God, I'm gonna write until I get out of here. And a lot of time at the end, a lot of the letters were thank yous. Certain people have gotten back in touch with me, you know. But yeah, I'm gonna the lady from the mailroom saw me one day. She's like, "My God, you always got a lot of mail going out." Then I got my pardon, and she was like, "Wow, now I see why."
Amen. What a blessing.
Process. Yeah.
What a blessing. Consistency and be ready.
Yes.
Consistency and be ready. Sam, thank you for coming on one more time. You're going to be at Virginia University.
University of Virginia Thursday, lecture in a law class. And just pay attention on Facebook, because I'll be at the General Assembly a lot, lobbying for certain bills. And one of the best bills that we're lobbying for is the second look bill.
Oh yes, second chance.
Guys can get by your second chance, and it's like we're hoping that it goes through, but it's like 15, 20, 25 years where a guy or girl can get back in the court and plead their case to get out. But overall, we're praying that one day that parole does come back in Virginia, that we do it. Like I always tell a lot of delegates and things when they invite me up, like when I was in the office last Thursday, they always commend me on my story. And the good part of it is like, this Republican governor, and thank you, Governor Youngkin. You know, he's out now. We have another governor now, but I'm always like indebted to him to do this in the process. But I always tell him, you know, again, just be ready for whoever comes in office, because like I tell people a lot, if they would have turned it down because of politics, I can't control that, but they're not going to turn it down for me being a knucklehead in prison.
No.
You know, and I said, use me as an example. I tell guys all the time, if you want to copy my pardon, because I kept 3 different pardons on me when I got 3 different guys I knew got out, and I kept them. And on days when I had those days, I would read them. And I was like, if God could do it for them, they could do it for me. And I still have it now, you know, on those days. And I tell guys a lot, you want me to mail you a copy, whatever you have to do to maintain that sanity, to not give up, and to realize that. And a guy said, "Bro, Sam, do you think everybody can get out?" I said, yes. And he was like, wow. Yeah. I said, yes. I said, but you didn't say what kind of get out. I said, you got to get free up here first.
Yeah.
Once I get free from up here, then I can start maneuvering this and working out to get free from the physical bondage that we're in. And it's going to cause you to stay out once you come home. Because it's easy to get out, but you want to stay out once you come home. Because, you know, I tell a guy the other day, I said, hey, bro, staying out of prison is easy. After you done almost 25 years.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah. So.
Absolutely. And spreading the word of good, going different places, talking about it. Samuel Harris, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate you.
Thank you for inviting me. I was excited when you hit me back, say you want me back. I was really excited.
Absolutely. And we're going to have you come back again and talk more about post-incarceration syndrome. Sound good?
Well, thank you. I got you. Anytime you let me know, okay? And tell Keenan I said, hey, hello, what's up, man?
I sure